And in the upper right here, in the red for the Apprentice Esports, give it up for DisK.
And in the bottom left of Jagannatha for license to kill the blue Protoss hailing from Canada, it is Maplez.
And man, isn't License to Kill just a suitably esports team name? Like, it's like, oh, we're great. You know, we gotta have something that really strikes fear in our opponents. We have a License to Kill. And that's of course coming from with Maplez on. He was probably one of the nicest people in the scene. I don't know. Dichotomies.
You know, the first thing that I thought about when I read the team name was like in the James Bond movies, you have someone that gives the agents the license to kill, right? So who is giving the players the license here? Is it the team himself, or is the team just the license that was given by someone else? It's all a bit confusing to me, but it does sound dangerous for sure.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, we do see the probes engaged in worker combat here. Of course, you know, this is what everyone wants, the proletariat rising up fighting against each other, so the bourgeoisie doesn't have to deal with anything. Of course, you know, very clearly, I guess Protoss is a Marxist society. I don't know. Anyway, nothing much is going to happen with this, but the real question is, what are we going to see on the map here from these two players? It's a double gate opener from DisK and from Maplez, so that's not that big of a deal. Maplez, this is not a proxy probe, by the way. This is just the delayed scout to make sure that this is like, look, I want to see what you're making. Actually, no, he's just, yeah, there we go. The delay is there after all. He just says, look, I want to know what you're making. I want to make sure that I'm ready for it. I want to make sure that I see, okay, it's going to be double stalkers. That gives me a little bit more information. It tells me that this is most likely not going to be a Stargate play. Again, just because of all the gas that is spent. So for the moment, how do you feel about mirrors? I know this is a mirror matchup, but well, it's also a mirror builds too.
I think over the course of the history of StarCraft 2, PvP wasn't always the most exciting to watch. I think that this has massively changed in Legacy of the Void, because despite it being a mirror, you can see like stylistic choices a lot more. You have the players that are more aggressive and that have like insane micro with disruptors maybe, but you also have just the opportunity to have your defenses well in place with shield batteries, so you don't have to play aggressive. You can, but it's more often than not we see like styles clashing in this matchup. So I think in Legacy of the Void that has become something very, very cool. And yeah, I think we can already see that just a little bit here. We see Maplez wanting to go very, very aggressive, going for the one base blink, 4 gates, so very, very committed. Whereas on the other side of the map, we have DisK setting up onto his natural base, building shield batteries, building sentries, going to be the defending one, and yeah, it's going to come down to how good this defense is here for DisK.
Yeah, absolutely. Maplez, you gotta imagine a part of this is, look, DisK is unilaterally kind of favored in this matchup. His blink micro is probably second only to Nina in North America, and yes, Neve and Estrella are probably better, but when we just talk about pure blink micro ability, I think Nina is probably still number one, and DisK is up there. His blink stalker micro is incredible. So what is Maplez gonna do when he realizes that it's gonna be a mirror match? He doesn't want to deal with any of that shenanigans. He says, look, I'm gonna get a bunch of blink stalkers beforehand. I'm gonna make life difficult for you. Now, I'm very surprised that this 4th gateway was made here in the main base instead of at the proxy pylon, because I mean, just look how slow these warp-ins are now. It's really going to delay this pressure coming on in from Maplez. He just can't warp in nearly as fast, although the addition of the shield battery is rather nice indeed. But now Maplez, he's going to find his way on in. One stalker's going to go down, and already we're seeing some positive trades here for the Canadian Protoss player. Now shield battery overcharge is going to get popped, and I love it. Did you see that? We had hallucinated stalkers, one of which even got killed. Mind games.
Yeah, I mean, the shield battery was healing that hallucination even for a second there. Yeah, but now it's about the second wave. For the second wave, we won't have another shield battery overcharge. The mortal is not quite out yet, so DisK will be forced to pull probes into this. And right now, these stalkers are just one-shotting the stalkers off DisK. So even though there's a shield battery in a second one now finishing up, these Stalkers are still getting one shot. This is by no means helped just yet. More warpins coming in from Maplez, and the Blink Stalker micro so far has been good.
Yeah, oh, great job there. He gets the one tag on the Immortal, and yes, he does lose a Stalker for it, but it was already a rather low Stalker, so now the Immortal does not have hardened shields. Now, oh, there we go. Maplez blinks on top and says, now is the time. Now is the effort here, and it looks like he's going to get a lot of these Stalkers before the warpins happen. Probes are going to have to be pulled to defend this, and there's not a lot of shield battery energy anymore. There we go. There's the last of it. Maplez taking a massive trade here, but you know what? Shield battery overcharge. It comes off cooldown rather quick indeed, and that will force Maplez back once again.
Yeah, all of these shield batteries now out of energy, but that shield battery overcharge coming off of cooldown just in the nick of time there. We have another Immortal out, so I would be surprised to see him go that aggressive once again. Yeah, I think he's taken a bit lower now. First taken off, taking care of all these shield batteries here. Even though they don't have a lot of energy, they're still providing some healing. And yeah, he's still super committed here. Blink forward once again onto the Immortal. Oh, another shield battery finishes up. Full energy heals up that Immortal. And it looks like slowly but steadily DisK is making this hold happen.
No, he really is. Now we have two Immortals on the field. That just makes this so much more difficult. Yes, there is kind of this build order dichotomy where one player goes Blink, one player goes Immortals, and it can work out for you just because of mobility. But if you're a one base all in, suddenly that mobility doesn't really matter because, well, it's not like you're trying to go all that far. DisK, he's just sitting there turtled up in his natural. He's up only 2 workers because he has lost a lot of workers in the exchange. But at this point, he's going to have his third Immortal out in just about, what, 20 seconds. And at that point, I mean, how do you break 3 Immortals here as a bunch of Blink Stalkers? Maplez going to move on forward, trying to knock down one of them, and he will be successful. That was the low one. That was the one that, honestly, DisK was expecting to lose. Now he's going to get 2 full ones here. How does Maplez break this at this point?
I don't think he can anymore. There's so many shield batteries. There's not going to be a situation where they are out of energy anymore. More Immortals coming out, and yeah, that he just didn't have the punch to break through there. The second shield battery overcharge, I think, was the one that was clutch, that kept DisK in it. Otherwise, yeah, he could have easily gotten snowballed there if he played that just a little worse. I don't mind the strategy choice from Maplez, but yeah, just all around solid defense for DisK.
Yeah, no, absolutely there. As you said, you survive long enough. You get your base up. You put a timer there on Maplez, and it makes sense that Maplez went what he went for. Right? You know, you're maybe not as comfortable in Blink Micro when both players have it. DisK, of course, massively favored in that matchup. So, and just try to pull the wool over their eyes early. Maybe somewhat surprised we didn't see DT play, but you know, that might be also be an opportunity. We might see Maplez go for something like that. But we will give Maplez a second to catch his breath after that game number 1. So Vitamin, as we got a moment here, so we're not rushing into things. Was that what you were expecting in that first game? Is that kind of the quality of things, or did DisK or Maplez surprise you?
I think this was about what one could expect from this specific matchup. I think both players know that that DisK knows that he's I've learned this on the mainstream, that he's the overdog, while Maplez is the underdog. So I think yeah, just Maplez pulling out a strategy that can give him a quick and easy win if DisK responds to it just not necessarily like worse, but differently. There are builds that are just that this works against a lot better. Like against Stargate play, this one base Blink has a lot more potential. We didn't quite see that happen here. So yeah, not surprising. Maybe we see some surprises in the second map.
Yeah, I mean, certainly seeing 4-gate one base Blink is a surprise every time you see it. It's just not really the meta in PvP right now. But as you said, considering the kind of the expected setup there with DisK as the significant overdog, which I don't know that I've heard that term before. I do like it. I'm not all that surprised. But now we're going to have to see, as you said, whether we do have surprises, whether things go maybe a little bit more standard. Because game number 2, it's ready. It's waiting. And we're going to get into it.
And in the top left corner of our second map on Lightshade, we have for Apprentice Esports, the Red Protoss player, DisK.
And at the bottom right here in the blue, down one game. Looking to take it back to that game number 3 for License to Kill, the Canuck, Maplez.
All right, we see early, well, regular timed scouting probes on the map for both players. Might not be scouting probe for one of those players though, with Maplez sending it down the south side and setting up here to. I guess it's just an early proxy scout, because it does look like he is sending that probe. Nope, he's not. He's not sending that probe into scout, which makes me think that we might have another proxy in store from the Blue Protoss play here.
That or he's like, look, okay, I know there's not going to be an expand at this point in time. Doesn't really matter whether I look in the main base. I just really want to make sure that DisK isn't proxying me in this game number 2 with that 1-0 lead. But yeah, okay, so that's what it's going to be. We're just going to see this one fake gateway, the Schrodinger's pylon, as it were. No one knows whether it's going to do something or not, or at least the scouting player doesn't know whether it's actually a pylon or something or not until they see it. And in this case, the probe's not with it. This is just a fake pylon here for Maplez, just trying to put DisK up into a tizzy a little bit, make him a little bit worried, make him feel a little bit nervous, but he's not going to build anything there, and well, the game does go on. Double gate expand from both players. Maplez, I mean, he's showing us that he really wants to expand early in this game. It is, of course, Stalker Sentry. One of the most gas-intensive openings, but also one of the most defensive. It allows you to make sure you get scouts off early, or consistently make sure you can defend. So with that being the case, Maplez, yeah, he's going to take that natural, and we're just going to have to see what DisK wants to do in exchange.
Yeah, I really like this approach though from Maplez, sending the probe out early and just proxying his like second pylon. DisK is going to see this now, and he's maybe going to eventually take this out if the game goes a little longer. But just like playing with the anticipation that DisK is here, has here, that he might have to deal with these proxies. I like it if you're the player that is not necessarily favored in the matchup.
Yeah, it's just really, it's a whole series of Maplez trying to figure out whether he can find minor advantages in some way, really eke out different options by playing more or less efficiently than the standard build, but in doing so, maybe he can force his opponent to do something weird. That being said, we do have 4 Stalkers moving out on the map here by DisK, and that's not really going to be scouted by Maplez. So if these Stalkers can arrive before the shield battery finishes, that's going to be one thing, but the shield battery is done, and at this point, 2 Stalkers, 2 Sentries, and a shield battery, absolutely they can defend against this, unless, I don't know, DisK pulls some sort of rabbit out of a hat. But it's getting winter in Canada, my friend Vitamin, and there are no rabbits anymore. They have all gone to hibernate. I don't know anything about rabbits. Oh, nice job there. He's actually going to get a Stalker too.
Oh yeah, shield battery contributing just a little bit there. Is out of energy now, but with these warpins, Maplez getting a really good trade here, clearing out 3 out of the 4 Stalkers that DisK sent across the map. And yeah, especially now that DisK is going into Blink, he's gonna miss these Stalkers a bit later on. And yeah, we see Maplez once again with the cheekiness, with the attempt to get a big advantage, or maybe even end the game very early on. I'm expecting DisK to get a robo with this build soon-ish, but he's not placed it down just yet, so maybe these DTs can do something. Oh, Adepts now into the natural. They're gonna trade out for a couple of probes, getting 3 here, 3 probes for 2 Adepts. Not necessarily what you're looking for, and yeah, still unscouted DT shrine in the base of Maple. Oh no, it just has been scouted. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, Robo on the way. The observer should come out in time for this to not really do anything. Yeah, but I like the attempt.
Yeah, you know, as you were saying there, DisK, he of course is gonna really play this game of scouting, of defensive ability, making sure that he knows what he's doing. And while you said, oh, well, we're probably going to see a robo out of this from DisK, there are a decent amount of Blink Stalker builds that get an extremely delayed robo, really get extremely delayed tech or detection in general. It just to make sure you hit that efficiency. But of course, yeah, the minute the DisK saw, yeah, there's a Dark Shrine in the main base, Orbital goes down, Observer's going to be in time. But a Warp Prism, or excuse me, a Dark Templar has already been warped on in, and yes, we won't see any probes go down to this. Most, like, yeah, that's not a full wall. Yeah, okay, with the Warp Prism, yeah, there we go. Shield Battery, nothing's going to happen with this. The amount of money that Maplez has spent in this game to make things happen, and the amount of value that he has found from that money, is, well, it's 1/0. It's infinite.
Yeah, I mean, at least he didn't full commit on Warp and more DTs, just going for the one, which for the time being, yeah, DisK has to wait for this Observer to show up, which delays the third base of DisK just by a little bit. Maple's third base now already on the way, but yeah, DisK absolutely on top of it, has his probe across the map, sees the timing and the army of Maplez here, and yeah, with Blink being finished, he may attempt to move out now. He doesn't really have the gateway count to fully commit to something off of 2 bases here.
No, not really. He's only on 4 gateways, but that is 2 more than his opponent. And he's going to be able to wedge his way on into the spot here between the natural and the third base. Shield Batter's going to get target fire down first. And Blink is done just a little bit before Maplez here. So DisK, yes, he has that little bit of an advantage. He's going to try to snowball into a much bigger one. He's got to find a couple Stalkers here. Yes, they will be able to blink out, but now they don't have any blinks available to them. And DisK is taking some fantastic trades here in the middle of the map between Maplez natural and third base. Shield Battery goes down. We're going to see the pylon go down as well. And now we talked about this. DisK's absolutely superlative Blink Micro is on display. Maplez is not taking the positive trade here whatsoever. Yeah, the sentries went down, but sentries, you expect them to die at this point in the game. DisK just taking really good trades, but he will force Maplez, or Maplez will force him back for the time being. Now, there we go. There's the blink forward here. Maplez, he's going to be forced backwards until he's got his next round of Warpins. And, well, the Warpins, they should be there. And, yeah, DisK is going to get it cleaned on up here. Or at least he's going to be pushed back. But the question at the end of the day is, how good of a trade is he going to get?
I think this worked out really better than expected for Maplez. For a second there, I thought DisK really had this this really slim timing to make something happen there when the shield battery at the third base wasn't finished up, and the army of Maplez was a little bit split between his natural and the third base. So just Maplez getting that hold, having that third base, being up in the workers now, having his charge finished. I quite like his position. DisK's third base only just now finishing up. A lot more gateways on the way, but we have yeah, Maplez in a tiny bit of a lead here.
Yeah, we're looking at that. I mean, the first couple, as you're saying, yeah, the first couple fights there, the first probably 50% of that fight between DisK and Maplez looked really good. DisK, he had the concave, he had Maplez kind of segmented between the natural and third. He was killing stalkers, and then he just overcommitted a little bit. He did not have nearly the warp in potential. I mean, he only had pylons back at home, no warp prism, no advanced pylon, no advanced gateway. So he really could not continue to reinforce. And then we just saw, you know what, defender's advantage. They say it's not a thing in PvP, but if you don't have any sort of offensive warp potential, then yeah, that is actually a thing. Nice trade here from DisK. He will get a shield battery. He will get 2 stalkers, maybe even 3. Only for 1 of his own. So great job there by DisK. He's just working the map a little bit. But Maplez going to come around with a couple of charge slots. And suddenly, once again, we're seeing this phenomena happen a second time. DisK, he makes a really good move. He gets a good trade. And then Maplez is able to equalize as things do end up. That being said, I mean, look at the army supply differential here, Vitamin.
Yeah, it's quite significant, and I think that's just because of the gateways of DisK being a lot earlier. Now Maplez even trying to get aggressive before the upgrades of DisK finish up, but he's kind of missed his timing here. DisK did catch up in the +1 and in the charge, so the advantage that Maplez had is kind of gone, and he's only just now starting his +2. He could have started that way earlier, and if he had done that, he could have retained one of the bigger leads in this matchup. And yeah, right now it's evened out again. Yeah, DisK making the small moves, small adjustments to get back in the game, and one of those is these 2 adepts into the natural base here. Completely random 10 minutes, 2 adepts showing up, forcing the pro pull, killing 4 probes off, and now making room for this main army to crash on into the third base of Maplez.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting here. We talked about the upgrade leads, and Maples really could have +2 right now, or be very, very close if he had not delayed it a little bit. But we see DisK here, he's making that decision to not get +2. Not at all, to really hold off and almost kind of go for a pseudo all-in. I mean, he has 3 bases. He's out. I'm sorry. No, he's absolutely going out here. He's cut probes dramatically. He has no gas on that third base. He's on 49 workers, and he's just looking to power his opponent down. So he does have a 20 army supply lead. He will have that Warp Prism to make sure that things happen. And that gas, by the way, that he didn't spend on his upgrades, he's spending them on Archons, units that honestly you don't really want to build until you're going to use them. So we're going to have to see just how well he's going to use them here. And he does have a timing because Maples, he is taking that 4th base. He is continuing to develop his attack and expand. And we do see that again in the supply. It's what is that, a 32 army supply lead? That is a massive differential right here.
Yeah, Maple's spending a lot of money on tech now, getting a second robo, getting a robo bay, even investing into that 4th base. And now, he could get very caught off guard with this move out here. He should see that the army of DisK is way superior to his army right now, and he needs to make the defense happen. He is adding on static defense, whereas DT is now with Blink into the natural of this, taking all the pylons here, which is a brilliant move in my opinion, because depowering these gateways will make the push in the front a whole lot weaker as well. And man, Maples with that DT run by has bought himself quite a bit of time, and now he just once again needs to focus on that defense. But with that +2, it is a possible defense.
Yeah, the big story there, of course, is not even the lack of production. I mean, that's big. It's the fact that DisK has been supply blocked for the last 45 seconds. He's not really going to be able to develop this massive or maintain this massive army supply lead that he had previously. I think it was, it was 40. I think at one point now it's going down a little bit more as Zealot will find a couple probes here on that 4th base. DisK is now made aware that that 4th base is here, but it's not like there's a lot there. He's not really all that worried about it. And we do have these DTs. Well, that's a lot of DTs rolling on in. Maples, he thinks he's in a late game. DisK is still playing that mid-game competition, that mid-game army. We're going to have to see which one works out here, as DisK is going to softly kite his way backwards onto the Archons, make sure that all those charge slots that run on in are going to get nothing done. This 4th base here from from Maples is going to go down, but now Maples, he's gotten so much worker damage on the far side. The Stars are trying to fight the DTs. Vitamin, that's not really working at all here as the DTs, they just get the start. Even with shield battery overcharge, it's making something happen, but does that matter as the army comes crashing in through the front? The one disruptor is not on cooldown just yet. DisK, he's gonna blink on top of it, look to target it down, but he will be unsuccessful. So the disruptor shot's gonna go off, but we need more than that. Only 1 disruptor shot's here. The army of Maples is falling apart. This is not even that 58-60 supply, as there are a bunch of DTs on the other side. The 3rd base is gonna get broken, Vitamin. Is this enough now?
Oh, the DT is wreaking so much havoc on this army. There's no observer in this army, so the DTs will be able to clean up the defense at home, whereas dealing massive damage on the other side of the map. And wow, that play, taking out the observer there and defending with DTs was really his only shot that he could make that hold happen. He had 2 disruptors, but those were swiftly focused down by DisK, and now he stabilized. He's doubling his opponent's supply, and it looks like Maples at least going to be taking 1 map here. There's really no chance for DisK to break anymore. And we're up to an even series in the first series of the day.
Yeah, we are. That's insane. That is a really fantastic result there from Maples. You're like, okay, is this worth it? He's still down 40 army supplies. Is that really going to make a difference? And then you realize the DTs are killing literally everything. And good eye on the DTs in the main army. I did manage to miss that. So not only did Maples suddenly have a supply lead, or an army supply lead, DisK was down on 12 workers. His entire economy was ravaged. He wasn't mining anything even more. So it didn't even matter at that point whether Maples lost the 3rd base. And Vitamin, do you see what the 3rd map is?
The 3rd map is Beckett Industries. I want to touch on something real quick. After the 1st map, you did ask me if there was anything that surprised me. In the 2nd map, there was. In the 2nd map, DisK stopped probes at 50 and became the aggressor, and that is something that I really didn't expect to happen here. And man, with the games going like this, heading onto the cider on Beckett, I can't even begin to imagine what they have in store for us here.
35-minute late game sky toss. That being said, by the way,
press X to doubt.
That's fair. By the way, other results here. Asuna might beat Neeb. As soon as tied 1-1 with Neeb right now. That's happening, of course, on the main stream. So does Neeb go 0-3? I don't know. We're going to have to see. I'm excited to see what the results happen from that one after we get out of this game number 3 because, well, the match is loaded up. So Vitamin, in order to get out of it, we need to get into it. So let's get in to game number 3. All right. Here we are, spawning in the bottom left here in the blue. He's tied it up here, taking game number 2 for License to Kill. Maplez.
And in the top right of Beckett Industry, has to be sweating a little bit here. We thought he was the favorite, but maybe anything can happen in PvP. For Apprentice Esports, obviously, it is DisK. Okay, what is going on in this game? We see a proxied pylon in the natural of DisK.
I love
forcing
it.
a huge overreaction. A lot of pros being pulled there for DisK. Faking a cannon rush that is just absolutely not happening. And man, Maplez really with the mental advantage for that one, I feel like.
Cheeky there, Maplez. I love to see it. Also, look at this DisK. He's going for a 1-gate expand build from the high ground. Trying to channel a little bit of his inner max packs in this game. And again, you do love to see it. We're going to have to see whether that is going to work out for him. As Maplez, it's a lot more standard, right? Double gate, cybercore, all that fun stuff. I wonder, so Vitamin, is this a response to single gate cyber? Is that a response to DisK saying, look, I just massively overcommitted. If we look at income here, it spikes, what, 300 resources a minute for a solid 15 seconds there for Maplez. That's a lot of money in the early game. So I got to be a little greedier. Right? I got to get that, well, as I say that, second gateway just being made a little bit later. So who knows, actually. I had this argument that I was going to make. And then, I think
DisK is just completely thrown off of his initial build here. Of course, with the amount of probes that he pulled early on, if he had built a second gateway followed by then a cybernetics core, the cybernetics core would have been extremely late. So just in order to not lose out in that gateway tag and potentially further tag, he did build the cybernetics core before the second gateway, and that is that's never a position that you want to find yourself in, really. That is completely messing up your build order, and it looks like he's salvaging it okay. He's gotten up to 2 gateways, producing his stalkers now, and he's just going to go up to 2 gateways and a robotics, which is not too far behind the one of Maplez, actually just a little bit ahead of that of Maplez, but that would have been later if he had delayed a cybercore.
Man, this is game. I love this. We're just going full NA here, Vitamin. We got 3-gate robo coming on in from both players because it's Beckett, and, you know, building a robo in your base might as well be proxying it at this point. DisK, Maplez, both there said, yeah, we're going to make it look like we're taking natural. It's a 1-gate expand. Don't worry about it. And Maplez said, yes, I'm going to get a pylon on my low ground. Therefore, I'm expanding. Don't worry about it. Of course, he canceled that pylon. And we're going to stay on one base for, I'm sorry, this is a 4-gate from Maplez. DisK, it's only a 3-gate. Yeah, so 4-gate for Maplez, 3-gate for DisK, both with robos. And if you have similar builds, I believe the player with more gateways is the one that's going to do a little bit better there, Vitamin, wouldn't you say?
I think with these builds, there is actually a bit of a significant defender's advantage in PvP, because with these builds, both players are preparing to get aggressive, and there won't be that many defensive shield batteries set up. So I think with this, but we might even see both armies missing each other completely. Man, what clownery is this? What clownery have I gotten myself into here? Both armies completely bypassing each other, and DisK is going to arrive at his opponent's base a little bit earlier, so potentially heading into this base trade, DisK is maybe going to have the advantage just by arriving here quicker.
Now, one of the nice things about this is even as Maplez does lose this gateway, DisK is going to be able to say to himself, hey, I have a production advantage. This is great. But realistically, it's 3-gate to 3-gate now. That being said, I mean, DisK is on top of things. He's getting on top of these pylons. We're going to see the Robo depowered. We're going to see two of these gateways get, or excuse me, one of these gateways will get depowered. The other one's going to get depowered rather soon. So Maplez, he's recalling. He doesn't know what to do. The probes are going to get pulled here, trying to force everything backwards. But the advantage that Maplez had in that extra production, it's not there anymore. That's 250 minerals that are not stalkers, that are not probes, that are not pylons. And now DisK, he's gonna find his way on in. Now we do have some probes on the far side. They are getting killed off here as DisK, well, it's a citizen's arrest. He's trying to kill the rest of these stalkers. He will be successful, by the way. Probes are surprisingly good against stalkers. Only 7 probes do go down. Yes, Maplez does have the lead for now in the workers, but it's 2 gateways to 3. The Robo is dead. There is no supply here. That being said, DisK can't really reproduce either. So now what the army we have is the army we're gonna have for a while.
Both players are heavily supply blocked, and yeah, Maplez is getting cleared up in the base of DisK, just with a huge probes around. I think at that point you just have to go for the full base trade. There's really no way you're defending your own base by recalling without taking significant losses. Yeah, and we see that here. Maplez is reduced to his single gateway. There is no cybernetics core. There is no Robo anymore. It's he can't warp in zealots, and zealots are really never ever getting close to stalkers that can be microed with Warp Prism. And yeah, slowly but steadily, DisK will be the player that will get additional units that are useful into this fight. He can warp in stalkers, he can build immortals, and that is going to be the factor that will win him the game eventually here, I feel like.
Oh no, the really scary thing is this sentry that's been warped in. Maplez now, he's been able to like tango with the ramp thus far, but now he can't step down. No way. He's just going to get immediately force fielded on out. So DisK has a lot more just room to make something happen. We do have the hot pickups from DisK, of course. You know, we talked about his blink stalker control, and well, Warp Prisms are just effectively blink here as the stalkers of the probes are going to get pulled here, trying to make one last ditch effort happen for Maplez, as finally he can warp in some stalkers. But is this too little, too late? I believe that answer is yes. It is still an 8 supply lead here for DisK in the army. He's lost all of his probes as Maplez, and yeah, more and more stalkers get warped on in. Immortals are going to start waddling across the map. There is no army, there is no economy for Maplez anymore. He took game number 2 in style. Man, really an upset that I don't think either of us were expecting, but in this game number 3, Maplez, he is falling down. DisK, he's got all of his cards. He can have his cake, and he can eat it too.
Yeah, I don't think he can take his time to eat some cake after this game. I do believe he has to play another one today, so yeah, don't want to fill yourself up on the cake, but he does at least take the victory.